forgive me for this trap shit. Sergeant Smack making backflip. Telly Hanked it with the action. With the vital speaking Spanish. Frank Matthews, how I vanish. Poof. Came back like I'm King Tut. Gold BBS is on a beamer. When Fat Cat was 10 queens up. Ball off the profit, not the re-up. Fly like Puerto Rican Jesus. Uptown like I'm Baby May. Just caught a touchdown from the bay.
Once again, the drive-through doors of justice in New Orleans tell us the sad story. Porter has an extensive arrest and conviction history for violent crimes, to include crimes such as burglary, illegal weapons, simple battery, damage to property, putting officers' lives in danger, and convictions for assault, aggravated battery, distribution of marijuana, and felon in possession of a firearm.
Also at federal court today, Christopher Dorsey, better known as local rapper BG, pled guilty today to gun charges. Dorsey admitted that on 2 occasions, including on this YouTube video, he possessed guns, despite being a 3-time convicted felon. He also pled guilty to obstruction of justice for trying to get an associate to claim ownership of the guns. Dorsey will remain behind bars until his sentencing in March.
Man in jail, you know what I'm saying? He posted $1 million bird. You know what I'm saying? Now they don't want to give a nigga another bond because they knew the man gonna make the bond. You know what I'm saying? See, Moonie, you know what it is, baby. You heard me? It's all good in the hood. You heard me? Let's go.
If you ever heard the BG song, Guilty by Association, where he said, the government would go on to use those lyrics in that music video as evidence for prosecution in the RICO case of New Orleans kingpin Telly Hankton.
Police are investigating a brutal uptown murder that could be linked to the city's most dangerous criminal. We're talking about Telly Hankton. WDSU reporter Simney Chewin is live where that murder happened on South Claiborne Avenue. And Simney, what are the details that you have today?
Camille, 61-year-old Curtis Matthews was gunned down in front of the Jazz Daiquiri Lounge on Saturday night. He suffered multiple gunshot wounds and died at the scene. We have learned that he is the brother of John Matthews, who testified against Telly Hankton at his last trial. He testified that he was 95 to 97% sure that it was indeed Hankton who gunned down Darnell Stewart in front of the Jazz Daiquiri Lounge back in 2008. We've heard from District Attorney Leon Canizero, and he says that his department held an interagency meeting with other law enforcement agencies, including NOPD and FBI, just to name a couple. And he says that they are aggressively pursuing all leads and leaving no stone unturned in this investigation, but they still have not determined a motive and whether this is indeed linked to Telly Hankton. Camille?
You know, Simney, this entire situation begs the question, should or even could the victim have been better protected?
Well, first of all, we should probably note that witness protection, as most people understand, and at the federal level, is when people get these new identities and they are relocated out of state. Well, what happens here at the state level is something very different. Witnesses are protected in the days leading up to the trial, and they're given resources so that they can either have moving costs or hotel rooms, something to make them feel safer during testimony. But we've got to remember that Curtis Matthews was neither a victim nor witness. He was a brother. And according to District Attorney Leon Canizero, he says he doesn't know of any single agency that is tasked with protecting an extended family member who lives out of state. Now, coming up at 5 and 6 o'clock tonight, we do hear from Rafael Goyeneche of the Metropolitan Crime Commission. He says this is one of the most atypical cases he's ever seen, but hear what he thinks law enforcement needs to do.
And Scott, we don't know, but we suspect they have made an arrest in the murder of Curtis Matthews, the brother of the witness whose testimony helped send Telly Hankton to prison for life. You're looking at a live picture of the chief of police of the New Orleans Police Department, who's walking to the podium right now, ready to begin his news conference.
Good evening. Thank you for being here tonight. As you know, this police department has been focusing its resources untiringly since last Saturday night with an around-the-clock effort to put a name and a face with the man who shot and killed Curtis Matthews last Saturday night. I am pleased to say tonight that because of the help of so many New Orleanians, we have done just that. We have issued an arrest this evening for Walter Porter, an African-American male, 31 years old, 6'3", weighing 170 pounds. An arrest warrant has been issued for his arrest, calling him into responsibility for the second-degree murder of Walter Porter. Tonight, less than an hour ago, our Special Weapons and Tactics team and homicide detectives served a search warrant on Porter's house based upon the voluminous information we have received from the public. We believe there may be evidence in this search, and we will know more in the coming hours. What Mr. Porter don't know is who's talking, and what we know is a lot of people are talking. What Mr. Porter don't know is who's going to be the one to call us tonight and say where he's laying his head down as he's running from his crime. What Mr. Porter will never know is that tonight the people of New Orleans said with no doubt, we will talk, we will share, and we will let you know where Mr. Porter is.
The people of New Orleans will not back down. We will have justice on the streets of New Orleans.
The mayor calls the arrest of this murder suspect a small victory in an epic battle. Less than 12 hours after naming Walter Porter as a murder suspect, the 35-year-old turned himself in to sheriff's deputies.
He is accused of killing the brother of the man who testified against Telly Hankton. WDSU News reporter Travers Mackel joins us now live from the scene of the crime. Travers?
That's right, Scott. A big development in a very big, high-profile case, and the mayor and pretty much every other leader in law enforcement says this arrest sends a message. Standing in front of the spot where 61-year-old Curtis Matthews was gunned down less than 1 week ago, Mayor Mitch Landrieu praised the people of New Orleans for standing strong.
And we, the people of New Orleans, are going to make sure that we can live in this city in safety and in peace.
Landrieu's statement came just hours after 35-year-old Walter Porter surrendered to sheriff's deputies. NOPD Superintendent Ronald Surpass says police were able to identify Porter as the gunman based on an onslaught of tips from the community.
The people of New Orleans made it perfectly clear that we are drawing a line in the sand. We are saying today that there will be no more.
Cops say Porter murdered Curtis Matthews last Saturday in front of the Jazz Daiquiri shop in what appears to be a retaliation killing in an effort to try and intimidate witnesses. Matthews' brother John testified last month in the high-profile murder trial of Telly Hankton, the person cops have called the city's most dangerous man. John Matthews' testimony helped lead to Hankton's conviction.
Of the people of New Orleans responding to the call, coming together, standing up and saying that enough is enough, we're not going to take it anymore, and we're not going to be intimidated.
When it comes to what exact evidence the cops have against Walter Porter, eyewitness testimony, surveillance video, or possible DNA evidence, the police chief is playing it close to the vest at this time.
There's a lot more pieces of information than one person or one event, so we're going to continue to build it to be stronger, but it is a lot of information that came forward very quickly from people in this community.
And though an arrest is a long way from a conviction, Landrieu says it's a step in the right direction.
Today, we have a very small victory in an epic battle.
Superintendent Surpass says that Porter does have ties to the Hankton family. We also reached out to Porter's attorney this afternoon. He has not returned our phone calls. Reporting on your side live in Central City, I'm Travers Mackel, WDSU News.
All right, Travers, and yesterday we also reported that due in part to this case, the district attorney received threats. He won't say what those threats are specifically, but he did say that they will not affect the day-to-day operations of his office.
At BG's sentencing in 2012 for a gun case, that he would catch during a traffic stop a few years earlier in New Orleans in 2009. The prosecutor, Maurice Landau, would speak on a series of YouTube videos that the former Hot Boy and Cash Money artist was featured in. He would say, quote, "These videos are horrendous, especially in the city right now." He would go on to tell a judge in the case, Ginger Berrigan, that BG talked about the city's cycle of violence and even argued that he profited off of it. I remember doing a video detailing that specific traffic stop a few years back, and I remember at one point in time during the video saying that even though BG was sentenced to 14 years, he was actually the luckiest person in that car ride. And I'll discuss that a little bit later, but I don't think some people truly understand how lucky BG is, because those specific videos that he would be featured in 2010 would become a much debated topic during his trial for that gun case. Facing a potential 40 years, if prosecutors had their way in that case, BG wouldn't be coming home to sometime around 2037, with them asking the judge to sentence BG to 25 years using his wide-ranging criminal history that would start in his early teenage years and no specific music videos as evidence. The judge in his case would even say that she believed that his songs and videos may have contributed to the murders of young people in New Orleans, saying that BG extolled retaliation and fostered an atmosphere of violence. Now, one of those key videos that prosecutors would be speaking on would be uploaded on October 29th, 2010, and ironically titled Guilty by Association, using the lyrics from that video where he would reference none other than the infamous Walter, a.k.a. Moonie, a.k.a. Urkel, Porter. Now, prosecutors would not only use that music video at BG's trial, they would also introduce it to evidence at Moonie's, and a person that would go on to be named New Orleans public enemy number one, Telly Hankton. Now, prosecutors would paint Moonie as the top assassin for Telly Hankton and his organization, and they would describe a vicious cycle of murders that would begin when Telly would decide that he would take over one of the biggest open-air drug markets in not only New Orleans, but probably the nation, Josephine Street. And just like in most wars, lives would be lost, but this particular war will become more deadly after a person that would be described as the patriarch of the Hankton family, a person that is rumored to give Baby and Slim the loan to start Cash Money Records, George Cup Hankton, would be murdered at the age of 40 on December 7th, 2007. And if you ever sat to yourself and thought, why can't I trust niggas? All you have to do is look at the trial that would result from that war and Telly Hankton's lucrative drug operation to know exactly why. Because the government would use several people described as Walter Moonie Porter's closest friends to send him away for life. Now, one of those alleged close friends would be a guy by the name of Brian Bino Hayes. And it would be at Moonie's trial where he would testify that throughout most of the year of 2011, him and Moonie would ride around the city in Moonie's blue Oldsmobile Aurora. Or he would even say that they would take a black Mercedes sedan that Moonie would end up wrestling from a person that he would describe as a deadbeat client, testifying that the Benz was collateral for a $20,000 hit that Moonie had done for the man in September 2010. And with friends like this, there's really no need for enemies, because not only would he testify for the government, because he could have went in there and just testified to the truth, but he would go on to give in-depth highlights saying that Moonie would often boast about his blossoming resume of murders, mimicking a nightly newscaster over his next planned murder. During his testimony, he would say, quote, he might say like, "This how the news gonna be. Breaking news, 27-year-old man shot with 12 bullets, DOA on the scene." He would explain the relationship between him and Moonie, saying that they grew up together on Valise and Farid streets, saying that that would be the place where the two would plot their crimes, including the armed robbery of 2 Capital One bank branches in the summer of 2011, where the two would go on to steal nearly $135,000. Another one of those alleged close friends just happened to be one of the individuals in the vehicle with BG in 2009 during that traffic stop, a guy by the name of Gerard Fedderson. Now, Fedderson would receive a 20-year sentence due to that traffic stop, but he would essentially use his testimony against Walter Moonie Porter and Telly Hankton as a get-out-of-jail-free card. He would explain how Telly and Moonie knew each other from years earlier when they shared space at a state juvenile detention center. And not only did Gerard Fedderson stab him in the back by testifying against him, he also would spit in Moonie Porter's face during his testimony, saying, "Still to right now, as I speak here on the stand, I love him and I will always love him." What type of shit is that? Bino Hayes would explain that the relationship between Moonie and Telly would take off in 2009. That would be right in line with the government's evidence that the first hit that Telly would pay Moonie for would be on June 20th, 2009, and probably one of the most crucial in a war that would result in Telly's attempt to take over Josephine. It would be the murder of a guy by the name of Jesse Tutu Reed, a killing that would go on to be named the Stamp Murder. And this would be the point where the BG music video, Guilty by Association, would be a key moment in this trial, as it was alleged that Jesse Tutu Reed would be shot 50 times. And prosecutors would point to the specific lyrics in that music video where BG would rap, "I keep them Goonies round, that keep them Toolies round. They getting hit 50 times if my nigga Moonie round." Now, you can almost look at this situation and maybe say that Moonie's loyalty probably cost him the rest of his life, because it would be after Telly was sent away for a life sentence for a murder that he would commit outside the Jazz Daiquiri that Moonie would murder the brother of a witness that had testified against Telly just a month prior. And it would be that murder that would get him and Telly, who had already been sentenced to life by the state, re-indicted by the feds. Now, y'all make sure y'all hit the red bell and subscribe button right under this video so y'all know when this real trill spill shit is dropping. Y'all get in the comment box below. Y'all let me know what cities we need to go to, what stories we need to tell, what we missed, what we got wrong, all of that. Y'all tapping with me directly, Instagram, Twitter, POP_A_LOT. And until it re-up, y'all know how we rocking. Shay's Popalot. Salute the almighty mob.